What's up? Bill DeWeese here. Welcome to Tech Tuesday. And if you're saying, Bill, your booth door is open. Yeah, I know. This is how I get air. A lot of people say, well, what about ventilation? This booth does come with its own ventilation system, but I don't use it. If you've owned one of these, you know that they still, even though they're supposed to be quiet, they still make sound. And so what I do, I just leave my door cracked a little bit. That's how I get ventilation, as long as you're in a relatively quiet space. And I am in a very quiet space to begin with. So, that works very well for me. So that being said, what are we talking about today? Today, reviewing a USB microphone and a cheap, low cost, cheap as in low cost USB microphone. A lot of students that I work with are just getting into the business and don't want to spend thousands of dollars on the front end. They would like to finance and finance the growth of their business through cash flow, which I always think is a really smart business move because today you can. Wasn't that way a number of years ago. You really had to go all in. But today with the platforms that now exist and the advancement of technology and the low cost of technology, it's really not necessary to get in over your head when you're first starting. So that being said, you may have heard me say before, don't spend less than $200 on a USB microphone. And as a rule of thumb, that's pretty much, been my experience. Anything under that tends to sound pretty bad. But I have this new microphone. It's a Chinese manufactured USB microphone. The name, let me hold up the user's guide. I'm not sure. Fifine, Fifine. I'll let you take a guess as to what that is. The model K670. And we'll just call it Fifine for our purposes today. Comes in a very nice box, and hopefully you can see that okay. There's the box. And in the box, in addition to the microphone, which I'll show you in just a moment, comes with a nice quality USB cable wrapped in a very nice Velcro strap there so that when you're packing it away, it keeps everything nice and neat there, which is helpful. It also has this little adapter which I'm not sure exactly what it's called. Those of you who are more audio tech or audio geek type folk might know what it's called, but it's this little brass ring that allows the microphone to adapt properly to your mic stand and fit on there. So we've got that, which is very cool. Now, my son, audio engineer Alex, will be taking a look at this next and sharing his thoughts from a more, tech standpoint, specs and all of that. But when he was looking at it earlier this week, we were talking, and the first thing that he noticed, and I think this is actually, and by the way, this is the microphone, was the stand. The stand is heavy, which is awesome. That's stability right there. That is a heavy stand, solid. Now, and I love my Apogee mic. You've probably heard me talk about it before. But it comes on, has a little 3-pronged tripod, which is fine, but it's lightweight, fairly flimsy. This bad boy is heavy duty. It's not blowing off your desk in a gust of wind. And beyond that, there are 3 segments of microphone stand so that you can adjust the height of the stand. Let me see if I can just kind of quickly, well, you get the idea. It unscrews. So there are 3 lengths. This is at its highest right there. But there's a segment there and a segment there. So you can unscrew to give this multiple height up to the height that you're seeing now. And an adjustable stand here at the top so you can tilt the angle of the microphone. The mic itself, as you can kind of see, hopefully the diaphragm there inside of the capsule. This knob on the front says volume, which could be a bit misleading because if you look at the back of the microphone, it does have a headphone output. And my first thought was, oh, maybe that's the volume control for the headphones, and it's not. It's after Alex gave this a spin a few days ago, and we found out this volume is actually it's the gain, it's the input level for the microphone. The headphone jack, one thing I don't like about the mic is I wish, since it has a headphone jack, I wish that it would allow you to monitor directly from the microphone. But our experience was that what you have to do to monitor, it basically just acts as another output. So your audio goes into your computer, and then you have to feed it back from your sound card into this, which is convenient. I mean, it keeps your headphones close to the microphone because if your mic, instead of having to run maybe having an extra long cord for your headphones or getting an extension if the computer's a little bit away from you. This allows you to just plug directly into it. So from that standpoint, it is, it's convenient. But it's a sharp looking microphone. And again, this mic stand, heavy duty, like that. Now, I'm going to give this a spin. I'm going to record so you can hear something here in just a moment. And then, as I mentioned, Alex is going to take a deeper look at the specs on it. Right now, I'm talking to you through my Neumann TLM 103. This is what I use in my studio. It's widely accepted, pro-level voiceover microphone. It's a fairly flat response, reference-type microphone, $1,000, give or take, depending on where you buy it. And I wanted you to hear me through this first so you have a point of comparison. Not because I'm saying this Fifine sounds just like the Neumann, or you should get this instead of, or there's a close comparison. That wouldn't even be fair. That's not the point. But the point is, I think if you're looking for even something that's entry level or something to do auditions, it gives you a sense of what little or large gap there may be between the two microphones, and I'll let you make that decision yourself. But again, Alex will be sharing some specs to give you a better idea of what you can expect from a microphone like this as compared to something that's a widely accepted studio microphone like a Neumann TLM 103. So let's plug it in, give it a spin, see what it sounds like. All right. So now I'm back with the, let me take these off, the Fifine USB microphone. The reason I'm taking off my headphones, because I do have them plugged into the back of the microphone. But I'm getting a significant delay. Now I'm recording into Adobe Audition right now and monitoring through the input in multi-track mode. I could lower the buffer size and probably make that a little tighter, but having any delay at all drives me nuts. So I would most likely have to come to grips with the fact that I wouldn't be able to monitor as I record, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And for many folks, that's a good thing, not being able to hear yourself while you record. One of the things that I couldn't show you before, I didn't have it plugged in, but it has a blue light. That has nothing to do with anything in terms of audio quality, but the fact that it lights up blue, I think is awesome. It's just like, if you have a newer car, like for instance, in my car, I have it's like a purplish light that comes on very low around the doors and around the feet, and it's ambient light, and that's what you're getting on the mic. It's just kind of a cool vibe, if you like that kind of thing. Again, which is neither here nor there in terms of audio quality. But this gives you a sense of what it sounds like, and from what I've heard so far in my headphones, I think it sounds pretty solid. I mean, for a $50 microphone, it sounds better than any other $50 USB microphone that I've ever heard. And so this could be a real possibility, I think, when it comes in terms of a starter microphone or something to use on the road, auditioning and that kind of thing. So at this point, I'm going to throw it over to Alex. He'll dig more into the specs and the tech aspect of all of this.
Hey, Alex DeWeese here for Tech Tuesday, and we are talking specs. We're talking about the Fifine K670 USB microphone. This is a fantastic little mic. It is a condenser mic, so it uses the power running into it to power itself, which again is a USB connection, so that's really good off the bat. No interface required. Plug it straight into your computer and you're good to go. It has a cardioid polar pattern, which is great for vocal mics, voiceover mics. You'll find the similar pattern in something like the Neumann TLM 103. And what that essentially means is that the front of the microphone is going to pick up more than the back would, because essentially the back is what we call a null point, which means it's designed not to pick up as much sound as the front of the microphone, which is a good thing. The frequency response of this microphone ranges from about 50 hertz up to 15 kilohertz, which that is a good and a bad thing. It is a similar frequency response to, say, the TLM 103, where you have a slight dip under 100 hertz, and then a slight bump up around 5 kilohertz The difference here is that the something like the TLM-103 would start at about 20 hertz, which is obviously a little lower than this one goes. Now, that's not a total loss because, as we've said in the past, in voiceover, you really don't need anything under 100 hertz. So 50 hertz, that gives us plenty of room to work with. We really don't need anything under 50 hertz, or around 50 hertz for that matter, in our voiceovers. So that's fine there. I will say the only downside to this frequency response is that it kind of ends around 15 kilohertz. You can typically kind of use that higher end to either add a little air to your recording, or roll it off if you're getting too much sibilance, things like that. You really can use those extra 5 kilohertz in your EQ to help your quality. So that's a bit of a downside there. It stops at 15K, but not a total loss, because that's always something you can fix in EQing and things like that. I will say the biggest downside to this microphone, in my opinion, is that they say that it offers direct monitoring. I have not found this to be the case. We do have this nice headphone output here on the back of the mic, and it says it's for direct monitoring, but we have found that you definitely do get some latency, as the audio does have to run into your computer and then back out again, causing some latency. So it's essentially just another output. That being said, really hope you liked the video. Like, subscribe, share, comment, and we will talk to you guys soon.